Mr. President.
The senator from Idaho is recognized.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that I be allowed to speak for up to 5 minutes, followed by Senator Menendez to speak for up to 10 minutes before the scheduled roll call vote on this bill.
Is there objection?
Reserving the right to object. I'm sorry, Mr. President, I didn't hear the unanimous consent request.
I think it was just a minute or two for you and the rest for me, Senator.
Then I objected.
I'd ask for 5 minutes for myself and 10 minutes for yourself. Is that sufficient?
Is there objection? Without objection.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, fellow senators, I rise today to speak on behalf of Cruz Risch NordStream2 bill, which is designated as Senate Bill 3436. To start with, it's important to note that this bill has language which is almost identical to the language that was contained in the Senate and House passed National Defense Authorization Act. Both bodies passed this language. It was unfortunately taken out in the workup of that bill before it went to the White House in the reconciliation. But now this language is back before us in this bill. And what it would do, it would immediately sanction Nord Stream 2, Putin's premier energy weapon against Europe and the Ukraine particularly. The timing could not be more important. Ukraine stands on the brink of invasion, and Europe is in the throes of an energy crisis created by Russia. There's a reason Ukraine's President Zelensky tweeted an urgent request in December for all friends of Ukraine and Europe in the United States Senate to back these sanctions. That request is before us at this moment. We are now seeing the consequences of the administration's decision to waive PISA sanctions and refusal to impose CAATSA sanctions. Months ago, the administration set the stage for this mess on the Ukraine's border and emboldened Putin. Russia has deliberately cut gas transmission to Europe through Ukraine and is using high energy prices to pressure the European Union into approving Nord Stream 2 as quickly as possible. Putin has publicly stated that fact. Meanwhile, Russian forces continue their buildup along the border with Ukraine in preparation for what could be a full-scale invasion. Clearly, the administration's efforts have failed to signal credibility and resolve and have not deterred Putin from continuing along the path to war. U.S. diplomacy needs additional action, not just rhetoric, to stop a Russian invasion. And these sanctions would provide that by putting Congress in charge of waiver authority. A vote for these sanctions will provide credibility to our threat, sending a strong message to Putin. Remember, Nord Stream 2 is designed to replace Ukraine's gas transit system, meaning Russia no longer has to worry about destroying its own infrastructure in the event of a full-scale war. We must not allow Putin's blackmail to succeed. Nord Stream 2 has always been a bipartisan issue here in the Senate, and it should continue to be. Not a single member of Congress supports the completion of this pipeline. I'd like to think a similar number of us feel we should not ignore our friends in Europe, particularly Central and Eastern Europe, who stand to lose the most from Nord Stream 2. Our bill would impose mandatory sanctions against Nord Stream 2 AG, the company responsible for the project, as well as the companies involved in testing and certifying the pipeline before it becomes operational. We do provide the administration with a pathway to lifting these targeted sanctions pending congressional review. This pathway is the exact same process for congressional input that 98 senators voted for in CAATSA just a few years ago. The time to act is now. I urge my colleagues to vote in favor of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.